Hello, hello.
Oh, music's done. All right, there we go. All right, enough of that.
I see through your message there.
That doesn't have the same punch as the
doesn't have the same punch to it. I know. I'm going to have
FlutterCon promotion. We need something with some upbeat music for sure.
So Free went to FlutterCon, and he's got the FlutterCon lurgy by the sound. He got the lurgy by the sound of it. He got the conf. What's the name for it? Conf virus.
Concrud.
Concrud.
That's what everybody calls it at DragonCon.
I specifically took lots of hand sanitizer and used it thoroughly throughout to make sure I did not get ill.
You just need to spray other people down. That's the problem.
Actually, no. What was happening was like, if you're around me, I'm like, "Do you want some? Do you want some?"
Yeah, definitely. I've had my share of that going to DragonCon year after year, so I definitely can relate. I almost always came home with something really crappy from DragonCon. Although, actually, yeah, I guess OSCON and a bunch of other my regular. You're right. It's just you're around a bunch of people, and often you've flown there, and you're in this giant metal tube in the air that obviously somebody sneezes 3 rows up, all the wind goes towards the back.
But they have filters and stuff. I mean, like
but not between the guy three rows up and me. There's no filter there.
It's not the planes.
And the air flows backward. Just think of that. That's why they put the smoking sections in the back when there were smoking sections, because the air was pushed towards the back. Yep.
So,
yeah.
Where are we?
Trivia and travel. That's what we're doing now.
Trivia and travel. Well, I mean, look, we got our bits down below. My name's Simon Light for Flutter Community Leader, CTO at Dev Angels London. Randall.
I'm Randall Schwartz. I'm a Dart and Flutter Google developer expert, one of about 130 or 40 in the world, and about 13 in North America. And what that means is I get to spend a lot of time talking to all y'all about Flutter and Dart in the various socials like Discord and Reddit and Stack Overflow. Although Stack Overflow has really died off. I've been watching for good questions, and people just ignoring it.
You know why?
Everybody's got AI. I know.
GPT.
They don't need Stack Overflow. They can just synthesize the answers. They don't need experts anymore on that thing. So that's
I'm kind of interested in what will happen in that regard. Like, it can't work like that, right? It just doesn't physically work. Like, it has to be trained up something. So I'm honestly wondering what's going to start happening when in like a year's time, when the information quality of what's out there that's been trained on goes down because people aren't answering these questions publicly, right? So you kind of get this kind of like maybe a downward trend, or maybe a cyclic trend of like it learning from bad answers, you know.
Well,
So
I think
we'll see if
it just proves that Idiocracy is a documentary. That's all. More and more every day we're seeing that for sure. Let me finish my intro then. So I'm also the question magician for this show, which means that I'm going to be watching the chat, the live chat, only on YouTube. I don't do anything with the Twitch. Is it Twitch feed? We got one other feed. I don't remember where it goes. Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch.
Okay, I'm not paying attention to that chat. Only the YouTube chat. And if you put a question in there, you put Q: in front of it. I'll flag it. What?
The Twitch chat does come into our feed, so you get both.
Well, I see those both in there, but I can't respond to them in there. I can't.
No, you can't respond to them.
Yeah.
If you put Q in front, we'll get them in both. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's true. I can flag them there too, but we haven't really had a lot of those. And then we'll get to them in the order that they're given. Don't repeat the same question again, though, because if you repeat the same question, I take you out of the beginning of the queue and put you in the end of the queue. So here we go. Oh, do's and don'ts. We've got to do that too, right? Now we've done intros. Let's do do's and don'ts. So be kind, be nice, be respectful, be constructive. You are talking to actual human beings on the other side of the chat. Although it's debatable whether some of them are bots or not. But again, just treat them like they're all humans. That's probably the best way to do that. Don't post anything if it's adult content or rude or offensive. We have ban hammers and we'll use them. Do not advertise or promote anything. First off, you can't put URLs in the chat anyway, but don't promote anything. The only people allowed to promote things are people with their face on the screen. You want to promote something? Ask us to come on next week's show. That's how you do that. Don't spam. Don't post the same thing again and again. It's just annoying. And again, as I said before, if you post a question, then post the same question 20 minutes later, you lost 20 minutes in the queue. So too bad. Harassment of any kind, not tolerated. We have ban hammers. We will use them. Luckily, we haven't had to do that more than maybe, I think, once in this past year, maybe once or twice. Do have a good time, though. We have a good time sharing the information we know. That's why we do this show. And we learn by teaching a lot. So we're happy to keep doing what we're doing here. And we hope to see you on a future show speaking about the things you learned about while you're watching this show. So that'll be cool.
It'd be nice to see what people think of FlutterCon as well. So if you were at FlutterCon and you're here chatting, make sure you let us know in the chat. I think it'd be appreciated all around. Those people that couldn't make it, maybe they can make it next year. Then let's entice all the people to FlutterCon. Let's jump onto one more thing here. So if you want to share code with us or snippet or whatever, if you post a link in a message, we do not get the entire message. So head over to gist.new. That'll take you to GitHub's new gist page. Pop in the title description. Make sure your file name's .dart, so we get the syntax highline. Paste your code. Make your public gist, and then you copy as 6.6 recommends here. You copy the hash from the URL once you published it, and pop that in the chat, and then we can look it up based on that hash. Right, that's all the usual, all the usual stuff out the way.
I wonder how much GitHub is paying. I'd be Microsoft, I guess, paying Google, who owns the .new domain, for the use of just.new. I wonder what that cost is. That would be interesting.
No, they don't own .new. They just own just.new, right?
No, right. But okay, so the registrar for .new is Google. Almost all the other .news are Google URLs.
Yeah.
So at some point, Microsoft must be paying Google for the right to use just.new.
Yeah, it's just a normal domain. Yeah.
But is it $10 a year or is it $10,000 a year? We don't know, right?
Those top level domains, they're around less than £100 normally.
Depends on you've got the domain, you got the tight control, right? So
I think there are limits though that I think put on them.
Okay. Anyway, I'm distracting. I'm diverging. Watching for questions. So if you're putting a question in, put Q in front of it so I can see it. And in the meanwhile, we'll be chatting back and forth here about relevant things. Let's see. So
I'm just having a look around at the moment. Just.land, just.luxury, just.movie. They're all like 50 quid basically.
But there are some I've seen for like 1,000 or something. So
Oh,
it is
look at that.
possible.
Gist.wtf. That would be fun.
Yeah.
List all the crazy gists. So for those that don't know, Droidcon and FlutterCon is a joint conference, and all the videos are going up on the Droidcon and FlutterCon YouTube channel. So if you didn't get there and you couldn't see things, then check out the videos on the YouTube channel. I am putting the link in the chat. Obviously, don't go there now. Save it for later. I just saw the latest videos. It's me doing an interview in FlutterCon USA. Yeah, embarrassing.
Cool.
Anyway, but Kevin Moore's videos keynote's up there, and so is Eric Seidell's keynote of day 2. And every day you'll find more to follow will be coming out. So suggest you subscribe to their channel and get all the updates. Cool. Right, that out the way. What I had something I want to share. That was it. We've got I've lost the link. Right when I want it. Oh, it's in the current window. Yeah, so Rody Davis has released Signals Core and Signals Flutter 610. So we've got that to explore this stream. So we'll be doing that later on. Happy to do some live coding. So if you have any live coding suggestions, pop them in the chat, and we'll see what we get to. Signals Core. I'm gonna prep all this stuff for in a little bit.
Also, just to while you're doing that, just to promote the my participation in the other show that's on the Flutter Community Network, which is the Flutter Community AI Circle. We're resuming shows starting Monday, and I'm doing a live coding of actually an app that uses AI, as opposed to so far we've been using AI to create programs. We're going to actually use AI in a program, and it's actually a pretty fun one that I came up with for a topic, and I've actually built it using the builder in AI Studio. So I've got a sense of the sort of user interface that I want, because I can quickly mutate that. And we're going to take that, turn that into a PRD, feed that into Gemini to build an app that uses Gemini. So pretty clever. That's coming this Monday.
Dominic's talk at the conference was pretty cool, and he's put up some little tweets around what he was doing, which I'm just gonna share on screen here, hopefully. If I do this, let's see. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so Dominic's been playing around with the idea of wrapping. Let's full screen this. Yeah, I can maybe see that hopefully a bit better. Wrapping the basically just doing the headers necessary so that you can call native classes and invocation straight from using FFI. I've been doing this a lot for Android and iOS, but he's been doing like a little package for this. And so as you can see here, he's actually building up standard navigation controllers and views, and actually in iOS and in Dart code. But the bonus of this is you get hot reload with native code. Wow. So there's an interesting dynamic for you, right? So obviously you can just edit the Dart code and then rerun whatever you're doing, and you're going to get the new native experience. So this is effectively React Native in that same way that React Native works, in terms of like you're using the native widgets, but with JavaScript. In this case, it's Dart using the native views. But there's reasons why you might want to do this, as he's showing here. Like you get this the glass switches from the OS, maybe in iOS, was it 26? I forget which version they got it in.
Yeah, 26.
Yeah, and then here's his hot reload, showing off his hot reload working. Like he's going to add a button, and then presses it, and now he's got an extra button.
Wow!
So that's pretty cool. And that code is available. I will post a link to it actually in the chat so that people can explore it at their leisure if they're interested. Apparently, I'm not allowed to post a link for that thing. So hang on a second. Let me post it in the right place. There we go.
Okay. Cool.
Apparently, a moderator cannot post a link.
What?
Right.
I post links all the time.
No, normally it's all good. So
yeah.
But yeah, that was just a fun one. I thought I'd like to share since it popped up on my feed.
We have a first question if you want to take it.
Yeah, we'll just get to questions and
okay, it's two parts. Flutter needs to improve in terms of performance and security. Needs to? I want you to clarify that. What do you mean needs to? It seems to be sufficient for a lot of people.
Performance never had a problem, and the thing is, the performance you're probably experiencing is in debug mode, right?
Yeah, perhaps. But here's the follow-up question.
That's the difference, right? And then the security side. What's wrong with the security?
What? Yeah, what do we not know about?
Tell us what is wrong with security, because I've got banks are using it and everyone else, and it's perfectly secure and fine.
Yeah. So what new features are coming to address these issues? Well, what issues? You haven't identified issues that really need to be addressed. Also,
shifting to Kotlin and KPM, Kotlin, KMP, Kotlin multi-platform. It's not
losing momentum. It's Zap. It's still
I think you just hearing that now Kotlin's coming out with Kotlin multi-platform. It's getting to the same. It's getting to some reasonable position that people can actually use it. Now it's getting more headline news, and then therefore more people trying it, especially Android developers that are using Kotlin every day. So this makes sense. People use whatever they want to use. It doesn't matter.
I suspect this is actually a person who's just starting to troll. Why isn't Flutter's official website? Document update. What do you mean hasn't been updated? Where do you see it not updated? The UI feels outdated. Well, that's personal opinion, and doesn't reflect Flutter's own design strengths. Now, this is all.
What are you talking about? This is
This is baseless. You're trolling. I'm just going to ignore you here. That's just silly. Yeah. If you have a specific challenge, go ahead and paste it in. But so far, all of this is just vague hand waving FUD, basically. Fear, uncertainty, doubt. Okay. All right. Let's go. This is great. This is good. Yes. I love when people complain about Flutter docs and mention KMP where the docs are non-existent.
Good one. I like that.
Yeah. Touche. Definitely. Awesome. We got Rona. I would love to hear which talks from FlutterCon Berlin I should make sure to watch when the recordings become available. So what are the high priority talks?
I would just recommend people to
watch them all.
Go look at the agenda, pick out the ones that you think you like and then see what they'll be published eventually on the DroidCon and FlutterCon YouTube channel. Passage Talk test I think is already online. Yeah, the recording's online. Passage Talk.
Cool.
I think the thing is, I didn't get to see any talks. So
it's usual at a conference. It's normal at a conference. It's weird.
Like man in the booth and like making sure everything's working and like everything's you don't get a chance. So I'm the wrong person to talk to about that one.
Right. I remember going to so many OSCONs and not seeing anything.
We should get some of the other attendees on here, and they can talk about their experiences. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, that's all the questions I have at the moment. So you can go back to muddling whatever you were doing.
I'm going to see if I can get the. I mean, what do people want to see coded like? Because we could carry on with that. Some previous code. I've got.
What do we got?
Coding ideas from previously.
Yeah.
We've obviously got the new signals to try out. We can try that out.
Yep. The persistence, especially, that should be interesting.
So I got persistence working because like he had it in his documentation. It's just like inlined it now, right? So it's great that it's in there, but I don't think it's going to be a huge difference from the.
No.
I think there is some stuff we could talk around that actually, saying that.
There is one thing we could try, and that is it's common to have a signal that's wrapping like a native type, But then you end up with the full protocol being available on the dot value call for the signal. And I thought the other day of using an extension type that would only expose, it wouldn't implement the underlying object. And so it would just expose methods that then forward to the underlying object. And that would be a zero cost abstraction being a extension type. And so you could have a dot value that has a very restricted protocol with specific hooks for setters and stuff. So are you following that, or are you just losing you? Okay. So I thought we could do that. We could have an extension type as the type of a signal and see if that makes things easier or harder.
Certainly give it a go. I'm thinking when I showed off signals previously, and we did that upgrade of one of the apps to signals, I put stream in there and we reconverted it. I don't think I actually brought the app back up again for us to talk through how it works. So we could use that, upgrade that to the latest version that actually uses the persisted stuff, so we can actually trial that out and see it working. So
sounds like fun.
I'm just setting things up.
Yeah. Oh, we have a question here.
Yeah, go for it.
Durong Boy, I mispronounced that, I'm sure. Have you tried ORF state management? It's supposed to be one of the fastest SM solutions in Flutter.
SM state management.
Okay, I mean, get all sorts of things for that, but no, yeah, so it's based on alien signals. Ooh,
alien signals.
Sorry. Now you get it. Now you get why I was chuckling.
Well, what is this? Hang on, sorry. Have you tried OREF state management?
OREF.
Never even heard of it. Should we look it up?
No, I've never heard of it either. I don't even know what alien.
A reactive state management library that adds magic to any widget with signals, computed values, and effects powered by alien underscores. This is the same thing. This is what we've been doing. We've been using the signals library.
Right.
This is just an implementation of that, right?
Okay.
Let's have a look. Do we have a look at it?
Sure.
Okay.
We got
share.
Yeah. And nobody there.
Share. Why not? Share the right
one of the things I've seen as I've been playing with signals is it's more of a like a state management construction kit. It has all these pieces that fit together really well and really closely to the rest of Flutter and Dart, and you have to assemble some kind of structure on top of that, sure, but I think the building blocks have the same sort of pluggability that I first observed with Riverpod, although Riverpod now seems strongly opinionated compared to signals. Signals seem to be still a lot more flexible.
Alien signals, so it's the same author for both. Who posted this message?
Maybe the same person, yes. Is it Duong Bui? No, I can't tell.
Alien signals, OREF, Oxy.
Probably totally mispronouncing your name. I'm so sorry. It's sort of the English pronunciation of your name, I guess.
Anyway, so we've got alien signals, which is just this is the same. This is just the signals. Look, signal computed effect. Alien is a reactive state management powers signals to Dart and Flutter, originally inspired by Stackblett's alien signals. Yeah, I mean,
I would have to say this is probably halfway to what Rhodey's already got in signals. So
yeah, this has everything that we've got in the other package that we've been playing around with.
Yeah.
Adoptions. So Solid Art, which is another one we looked at.
So the author isn't the poster.
Oh, it's fine. We were just joking.
Yeah.
I think what I'd push for in these things is that what we found with Rhodey's package is that it really integrates really well with the rest of Flutter and Dart, which means you can port and use other things without having to have like lots of things. Like this is very much a direct port, like having reactive node and reactive system here is like It's having a direct node from the React side of things rather than like making it more Flutter centric. But let's have a look. Oh, and then OREF is just what? Well, this is just the alien signals package.
Yeah.
So what does OREF do?
It's a state management tool built with alien
We have to use standard state management tools, which use inefficient proactive notifications on large numbers of watches to notify widgets to rebuild. And the boilerplate code is very redundant. See, the real problem, maybe this is something we need to explore, and maybe I can show people how the whole rebuild thing works, because like there's a
the thing about
misunderstandings about this stuff.
And the thing I think Signals gets right is that it's a pull system rather than a push system. So a signal marks itself dirty, but doesn't rebuild itself until somebody else sucks the value down.
Yeah, I see what this person's doing, and I think that this is a bad idea. So so if you hang on, let's have a look here. Signal function OREF, yeah. So it takes a build context and an initial value, right? Get the current value when there are no arguments, set a new value. So basically, the idea here being that you create your count here during the build function. Obviously, the first problem with this, it's fine, it's fine, but okay, I can only now use the count during build, right? There's a potential for side effects when you do this kind of thing, unknown side effects, right? So there's a concern there I would have. But on top of that, I'd say that now this is going to be type based, right? On T, it's going to have some lookup. So now what happens when I have two integers, right? Because there's no ID here, there's no naming. So in one context, I can only have one integer, right?
It's the provider problem. Provider's got the same issue.
Yeah, it's the same. And that's one of the reasons why we liked some of the mixing, the idea that the
signals.
What was it that the signals one from Rody doesn't introduce this? You can you've got options and you can use whatever DI solution you want. No, I mean, this is the thing. Do you want magical? That's the other side of this, right? Like, I don't particularly want magical, right? Like, I want explicit. So, anyway.
There's a reason I don't use getx either.
So you can see Rod is saying that he's updated it. So we've got lots of helpful extensions on core types. It'd be interesting to see what they are.
Yeah.
Persistent signals. So we brought that into the package and improved error stuff. So let's see what. So as he said here, signals auto dispose mixin.
Right.
Computed signals. Now we use signals auto dispose mixin. Signal effect exception. Signals. Bumping. Computed can also not throw the exceptions. So check. Okay, cool.
610 is also recent as well. Those are both.
What is this? Okay, sorry, hang a minute.
Yeah.
Fix for effect not showing stack trace. Add extensions for list, map, set, iterable bool.
Yeah. Yep. It's the dollar extension. You add the dollar
extension here.
It's $0.dollar, and there you get a signal.
Okay, so this is cool. Look, so you can create an inch signal by just doing this.
Yeah, that's clever.
This is a function, and turning that into computed, so you can do a function.
Wow. Whoa, that's kind of weird. I guess it even work on a bear function too, right? You can just go foo.dollar.
Yeah, it could be a function reference. Yeah.
Whoa, nice. Right, this .light.dollar. That's so weird. That's cool, actually.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Where's the? So yeah, there's that $sign extension on T. And any T that extends object. So basically saying on anything, right?
Right.
Because
you could have a signal.
Right. Where's that global constructor? Effectively doing it on T, right? So skip past it. It'll be in here. Yeah, signal T value. So basically, it's just filling this out. Obviously, then you lose the debug, and you can't turn on auto dispose. But then that's the handiness of doing some of these.
Right.
But yeah, it means that you can do like instead of having to do map signal, list signal, queue, or whatever else, you got a lot of it's going to be handled for you.
Right.
I'm kind of curious, like.
Let's see.
It's a quick nose here. Being core, right? Extended. Okay. Source extensions. Aha. Okay. So object is his base one. This. And then he's got specifics for like the various other ones. Oh wow, I like this. Okay,
what?
so let me make it bigger for everyone. Sorry. So what he's done here is he's added operator overloads to like double signal, right? So you can treat.
No way. So you can do plus on a signal?
Yeah. Or you can do like one signal plus another signal, and then it generates a new signal.
Man. Oh.
So does that mean we've got similar things on a bunch of the other stuff? So yeah, so this allows you to treat the whole idea of this allows you to treat the signal itself as the iterable, right? So this implements the iterable interface effectively. And I'm guessing the same for like map and so on and so forth. Set string, yeah. So code unit at. So basically, this extends the signal interface to behave like the underlying value.
Right. This sort of really feels like what Dart should have shipped with in day one. But I'm glad it's coming out now because it's so tightly integrated with the way the rest of Dart and Flutter works. It could have been in the box instead of being out of the box. I don't know what that meant there. Yeah, it should have shipped with day one.
Yeah, so these don't necessarily produce another signal, but then you've got the dollar sign, so you can take a comparable and say, okay, make this into a signal. And once you've got that signal, then you've got this interface you can then say compare to. So, and this, the problem with this being like an extension is that because this, so I give an example of comparable here, right? So, if you want to use comparable somewhere, it needs to be a comparable T, right? So unless the read-only signal here is comparable, then you're not going to get this overloaded function. Not going to. It's just a static function in effect, right? So I mean, what you would want to do is have a signal like a comparable signal, and wrap up the existing ones being coming in, and then you could then have this, but. Yeah.
Bye, Riverpod. I'm not. It's funny.
There's definitely
for the last month, I haven't read every line of the Riverpod chat on the Riverpod server. I don't know what's been said there. It's so weird to be slightly out of touch with Riverpod finally, but I think I'm feeling better because of that. I think I'm thank you, Remy, for Riverpod. Thank you for Provider. Thank you for all the other stuff like that. But I think Signals is closer to what I want to recommend to people just because it's so much simpler to understand and it's so closer to the metal. I mean, the fact that every signal is a value listenable on the Flutter side is great because when you need a value listenable from a Riverpod provider, you got to go through some hoops to get there.
That's not to say that you couldn't do that with Riverpod, I guess. I think that the thing
here I've done it. I have an extension that does that, but it's really convoluted looking, but it works. because they have to set up the subscribe and unsubscribes. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think what I like about this is that it has just those basic four interface, four functions, four prototypes, and then from that we could like combine and build a lot of other things.
Right. Where's the I saw a message that was just right on for that. Hold on. It's scroll. There we go. Yes, I like this. Signals a state machine constructor kit.
Are we looking? What did someone say? Are we looking at Sign? It's none of those is the answer, Mendes. None of those packages. The one you're looking for is Signals Flutter.
No. He's saying Signals is a state machine constructor kit.
No, I said we are looking at Signals, or Flutter Signal.
Oh, right.
None of those. Signals Flutter. There's a lot of Signals packages. Don't get me wrong. So this is the package that we're looking at. This one here, Signals Flutter, which also has a core package and a few other things. But it's by Brody Davis, member of Google developer, actually at Google, and also Flutter community member. He was around in the Flutter community before joining Google, and he still is. He's still doing a lot, as you can tell, with this to do with it, and he loves Flutter just as much as everyone else.
Oh wait, he's a Googler? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did. He actually did the intro to Google I/O Europe or whatever it is. No, the Google I/O Europe event. He actually did the keynote. If I'm right.
Wow, cool.
I forgot my people mixed up. I apologize, but I'm pretty sure that was the case.
We did this already. We have no questions in the queue.
So if we're not
another one chiming in from free. Riverpod is great, but it's doing a bit too much for me. Yeah, I'm starting to feel that way, that I kind of, it's got great ideas, but it is still opinionated, and you have to learn the opinions to make it work right. Now, I've learned those over the years, so I'm fluent in Riverpod up till 3, but I have a feeling that I can teach other people how to use Signals a lot easier than I can teach people how to use Riverpod correctly. Just my hunch from looking at the way things all fit together, because even teaching people to use value listenable was much faster than teaching them Riverpod. There's really only 2 moving parts there. You've got the builders, and you've got the definition of the listable. So cool.
Right. What do we have here? Right, I'm just getting prepped here.
Again, we're looking for suggestions for live coding. If you want to have a suggestion of some kind.
If you don't have any particular suggestions, we're going to go to some Signals, I think.
Yeah, we can do that.
And see what we can do with that.
Sure.
So we're going to explore something I've done previously in Signals, and then we've got the Wow Shopping app where you can convert to Signals. Yeah. All right. Well,
it might be interesting. It might be interesting to look at the example shopping cart that's in the Signals repo.
Is there? I didn't know there was one. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of examples in the repo, and shopping cart's one of them, and that's just been updated for the persistence layer that they just added.
Oh, okay. You've had more time than I have with this, by the sounds of it.
Free, I didn't see your suggestion earlier. It wasn't flagged. Here it is. Here's free suggestion. I have an idea today. Custom scroll bar that indicates different sections. Ooh. A multi-section
indicates scroll different sections. Have a multi-section scroll view, and I want to make a scroll bar when you're at the top level.
The thumb going through the
top level section stuff. Oh, you're talking about like having on the scroll bar, like
colors,
dots or pins or some other kind of like indicator as to where things are.
Yeah. That would be tricky.
It's just not that different. Wow. I'm not going to say
it. For you, sir. Yes.
No, I don't want to say the magic words. It's not that, and then it becomes like a massive right. Right, let's run this app up, and then we can something similar to So with initial the grid. That's what I was thinking, Verdi, as well. When I first heard it as well, something that indicates you can do. There's a name for that. There's like there's a name for I remember Android having a name for that, for its contact stuff, where you get like you could tap. By the way, when that, and the other thing was when you start scrolling, the extra notches turn up. The A, B, C, whatever turn up, and then if you tap them, it would actually take you to that section, which is pretty cool. Yeah, we could talk a bit about that. Let's just play around with signals here since I've got this going, and then we can maybe jump onto it. So I've just started up. I was playing around with this app by a little side app project I was working on called Journal Club. There's a website, and I wanted an app for it, so I made an app for it. So I converted this to in a live stream. Well, when was it? Might be 3 or 4 weeks ago now. We've done a few other things since then, and it was the first time ever using signals. So I've had to play around with this a bit more and cleared a few things up. So little thing you can do if you find that you get this logging in the console by default, and you can turn that off by setting the signals observer instance to null if you want to do that. So that's a kind of a little handy thing to know.
Is that automatically cut off in production? I would hope so, right? It's not logging in
yes.
production.
Well, I'm assuming so. I haven't looked.
Let's look at the source.
Where does this mean? Oh, there you go. Look, KDebug mode. Use it. Otherwise, null.
Okay. KDebug mode.
So
good friend of mine. KDebug mode.
I had a little bit around how we were starting the app up and how this was being handled. So now we have we actually return the backend instance as a future, and that actually comes from doing the splash pre-cache and then allowing the first frame, animating it in, and then performing the continuation of the app startup journey. So this allows us to this is a 2-stage app startup. The reason for this is there's a nice smooth transition from the splash screen, and you do that with defer first frame, allow first frame. If you don't know this, so this allows me to load the graphics needed for the splash screen and actually have a nice little animation and transition from the native splash into the animated splash inside Flutter. And then this delay here is given as a way of having a minimum amount of time that the splash screen is there for whilst we load. Maximum, minimum. So also this auth state startup thing that we were doing before actually was a stream, and now this is there's actually is this public? I don't know if I made this public. It will be public
by the end of the show.
At some point, yes.
Yes.
Now, and so what I've decided to do here is with this as so we've got a tracker here for the router assets theme. On the back end of the app, when we start up, I create this backend instance, which is how we run the non-UI components of the app. In this case, we have a repository for the episodes, because this whole thing is about watching episodes from the show, and then from the website, and then Auth Manager here to track your authentication progress. Now, here's the interesting thing, right? So originally, this Auth Manager, what I did, we created this auth state signal, which is a persisted signal. However, persistent signals was not a thing that was built in. It was just documented, but not actually built into it now. So what we should be able to do is go find our persistent signal, which is in our code base here, shared preferences, persistent signal thing here, and find out if that is now in. You said there's an example now, is there, in the SDK?
Yeah, there's a shopping cart.
Okay. And then this is using the new persistent signal somewhere?
I believe so.
So that was another actual thing that we found out. What was it on the WoW shopping app? When we included a restoration scope ID, for some reason we had that delay. I looked into that. Might be an interesting thing to look into. Right. Oh, where's our? These are the models.
Wow, I should be able to find that.
I don't know how this is structured. Hang on.
I've got the repo nearby here. Already pulled down.
Event service. Catalog service. Very interesting. It's nice to see like some good examples of this, right? So this is great.
Yeah, though,
signal
examples.
Allowing you to fetch that async state. Dispatching an event when that event becomes started. Changes the value to loaded. So this is essentially wrapping, instead of wrapping a future, it's like directly, this is actually a controller around that future. So the states are being managed directly rather than having the future signal handling it.
I just asked Gemini, which of the examples uses the new persistence feature? Let's see what it's coming up with.
You'd think it'd be the cart, like you start the app up and it will persist the cart,
Yep.
right? But
that's been updated recently, so it probably does. But we'll just
not that I can see. But anyway, let's I see what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to packages here. Actually, what we could do, let's upgrade the version. What was the latest version again? It was 6.20. All right, let's. Persisted. Here we go. Persisted. So we got persisted signal and persisted signal mixing. So they're helpful to not have to deal with. But we'd still need our shared preference one, which is our mechanism for doing it, unless packages signals Flutter has included that dependency, and I wouldn't recommend that.
See, there's a persisted signals example.
That's fine. It's fine. It's the same as what we've got going on.
Right.
Yeah, and so in this case, obviously we don't want any relationship to. When you're doing an SDK like this, you do not want any relationship to any more packages than you absolutely need, right? So let's work this out. So first of all, persisted signal and the mixin are provided by the framework. So let's delete those. We don't need those anymore.
Yeah, and Gemini just came up with the same thing. It's the persisted example that has the persistence.
And then this is really about having a store. So this is a shared preferences store, exploring this key value store approach. Thing is, we're actually creating an instance of this particularly, so we don't actually need the interface. If we had multiple ways of saving it, I'd say we'd need this. So I'm going to remove that and simplify our approach. Unless actually saying that, he's probably got that in his, because he's going to need a way of persisting it, right? Let's have a quick look. Store. Signals key value store. There we go. And you've got a default. Oh, wow. Signals in memory key store. That's interesting. That's helpful.
Yep. So you can use that as the default.
Right. So we've got our shared preferences store needs to implements that new interface. And then what we're going to need to do is upgrade our dependency to 6.20. Let's do that. That's interesting.
Where is it?
Why was I just doing signals? Didn't I have, what was that problem I had? I had a, this is triggering a memory I had. Like, I think, because I wanted to get the dev tools, and when I got the dev tools, I don't think did I get that with, I can't remember what package I was using to get the dev tools now.
I don't
if I got them with Signals Flutter or not. Let's do Signals Flutter. Maybe I'm behind here. Let's just do that. Pub upgrade. Go.
Watch it break.
Okay, so signals core, signals flutter. Oh, wait. Was signals the overarching package? I think that's it. I think that was it. You've got signals core, signals flutter, and then the actual signals package, I remember this now, has dependency on both of them. Yeah, this is it. So you need to use the signals package. Let's go put that back. I remember this. So I had a problem with the
oh, look, yeah, pulled signals 620 down now.
Yes, now this is transitive dependency. It's still there, but now we have signals as the main one. The reason for this is, well, I'll show you here. Let's run it up. In fact, hang a minute. Yep, that's not an issue anymore. We'll go interface, right? Set item, get item, remove item. Set item, get item, remove item. Set get remove, sure. And then what we need is this should be signals. Let's see if I did that in time before it got to the compiler. Compiling it, probably. It's a bad idea to edit the code when you're compiling.
Yes. Yeah, it kind of confuses
just the FYI, don't do what I do.
Yes. I just read this over here, and then this over here is something different from that. What the hell?
I'm going to refactor that, but not right now. In fact, I might stop it. Let's see if it builds. If it builds, I'll...
build, ship it. If it builds, ship it.
Oh, we have a
red.
I doubt it's going to build down because I've... Yeah. I was going to get there. That's fine. I was going to change anyway. Right. Cool. So we've got our shared preferences store. We've got our auth manager using said store, bringing it in. So we create when the app starts up, we create one store. We pass it to our backend. Backend can then initialize, and when it initializes, our instances of auth manager and auth manager in this situation start up properly. So backend gets the store. Auth manager gets the store, and then it creates its auth state signal against that store. And auth state signal is a persistent signal with auth state. Defaults to not signed in. The key name in the store is session. And we have our decode encoders as JSON, so we can store a JSON object in there. And then we have a from JSON here, which loads up the appropriate sealed type based on the type parameter in the JSON file. This can definitely be cleaned up a bit. There's some work in there, but this should also not be stuffed in here. This should be like auth state or something. Do you know what? Let's hear out this auth state, because this is all just chucked in one file as a development thing. As a get her done. Okay, so now we have a separate auth state. We could actually expand out our structure and have some like auth. Maybe put them in there. Cool. And let's see if we're now load this in. Okay, so we should be ready to run this up. Let's see where it goes. I'm not sure if there's any place in here that we'd actually use the
signals package.
Signals. Well, no, I mean like the new $ piece. Oh, I've got an error. An error. Oh no. Oh no. It's not going to compile. I'm actually just considering maybe what I want to do here is have I was going to say have Auth Manager export it, like Baronet, but you know, let's not worry about that. Right. What now? What is wrong with this picture?
Back in Dart 3. What's Dart 3?
Cannot find.
Dart 3?
Because I renamed it and it shouldn't even be there. So I think there's probably some weird caching thing. So let's do Flutter clean. I've done completely the wrong thing. That's not Flutterize pub. Whatever. Let's do this. Yeah. Cool. Right. Let's runner up.
Ooh.
There it is. There's the problem right there. Do we have another import issue? Probably. Yeah. Okay. Not even used anyway. Okay, cool.
Doesn't that show up in some sort of errors tab in your editor?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Let's see. Okay, it's built. There we go. So we should see the nice transition now. There you go. Look at that. See a lovely transition into the splash screen. I don't actually have any transitions in the rest of the screens of the app yet, but I'm going to log in. Oops. Cool. Well, it didn't break, so that's nice, and
it compiled. Yeah,
it compiled.
This time.
So, what else can we look at here? I'm sure. So we got that was another thing, wasn't it? So. I seem to remember it's a whole family thing we could try in here. Let me just check something here. Yeah, so for those that sort of don't understand what's happening here is because we're accessing the value of our auth state from Auth Manager here during this effect. This effectively this registers this function to run each time that value changes. That's what an effect does, the effect function. And it returns a function to dispose of it, to clean up. So that's why we store the function and then we call it in the dispose method here. There is that auto dispose stuff. I'm not sure how that works. We could do we could also add the mix in. We have the mix in here. So I don't see any reason why we couldn't do create. Is it like a create effect or something? Create effect. And in doing so, it should automatically register the dispose, I think. Somehow. Effects add. So it adds it to its list. Returns a function you can do to clean it up. And I think what happens is clean up signals and effects. This gets run during the dispose on our widget and will automatically effectively clean up the effects. So if we use create effect like this, we don't actually need this to store this effect cleanup, and in fact, it's done for us. So bonus, I guess. I think there's obviously a certain amount of magic involved in doing some of this, in terms of you have to understand how the platform works, right? How the library works. But
why not signal computed instead of effect? Do you need the output value from what you're doing? You don't need the output value.
No, well, that's why it's effects. We don't need the output value.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we don't need computed. Don't need computed.
So in this case, the fact that this value changes produces a new route name. This, however, does mean that it's when the auth state changes. So of course, when it changes to any one of these, we navigate, and that's the sort of principle of this. There's a lot of ways of doing this, but that kind of works for us. And then again, when the app starts up, we use a future provider, in this case, as the DI using provider to essentially give the backend variable to the rest of the app. So what? Forgive God. So what? I think we just got to that, which was because we don't have a result, we don't care. Like it's an effect, right? It's not an output that we care to need in any way. There's no return from this function, right? There's no value that we need. Whereas if I go to the auth manager here when it starts up, let's hide that. So when the auth manager starts up, we create an effect, which again says, okay, when we go to sign in, make sure that API's session ID is the session ID from the signed in auth state. And then when you're not in the signed in state, set it back to null. So this allows us to effectively link the auth state of the sign in to the API, right?
Cool.
There's probably, there's various ways of achieving this, but this reads just fine. Again, like cleanup wise, this should really probably be like a dispose on here, and then we could ensure that when dispose is called on here, let's do it anyway. Right? Auth manager dispose, and then see, auth manager doesn't. It's not a notify. It doesn't have any values it needs to essentially notify on. But we can have a dispose function alongside the init function here. And we want to do, what was it? We're going to run like the effect cleanup. So the auth state. Effect. Yeah. I guess we can also set it to null afterwards, so you don't get any sort of double call problems. So if we do something like this, that would also work. And then let's go up here. Do a final. And we'll set it in here. So when the constructor gets called, it sets up this late variable. And then in dispose, we're going to call that function that it returns, which is the cleanup function, and set it back to null. And then during backend, we're going to run that, hopefully, if I had the variable name right. Restart. I mean, again, like the whole idea here is that this is more about testability, right? Because dispose on our backend is getting called when, I should be getting called. I don't know if it is. When our app is disposed of, right? I don't think it is at the moment because we haven't hooked it up.
Did I just mute you? I can't hear you.
I'm still here. Can everyone hear me? My mic's still working, apparently. So that's kind of annoying. Thanks, Free.
So it's just me. Okay, what the heck's going on?
That's
not getting anything out of Edge. I may have to reset and come back.
We can hear you.
Yeah, let me log out and back in.
And then there was one. Let's make it bigger. I don't know why they didn't make that bigger in the first place. Hope everyone's good. Right, where was I? Yeah, I think it's because he couldn't hear me. Forgive. Anyway, we have a slight little issue here because we kind of want. There's two backends being involved here. We got a future backend, and then so I think we're gonna look for tuna. Have this nullable. Hey, there it is.
There, now I hear you. Yeah, something just dropped out. Everything else worked except StreamYard. Weird.
Who knows? Who cares?
Yeah.
Right. So this is kind of annoying, right? So here, let me show you the condition here, right? There's actually like a race condition here. In effect, it's very subtle and it's probably not going to happen, right? And it's also probably not something to code against, right? So let's explain. Let me explain what's going on here. So we start up a future to create this backend instance, right? And we want to make sure that when our widget goes away, it will call the dispose method. Do you know what? I just realized. I wonder. Actually, saying that, let me undo all that. I think the original sample might actually resolve this issue. Let me explain what I was just thinking was that you might not have the backend variable set, in which case when dispose gets called, it's still null. So you don't get dispose being called on it. However, we can guarantee that there's always going to be a future of backend, right? So that would mean that if it has a value, would this work? Do you know what? I'm not sure. I guess so. Then let's have a quick look. I think it does. Where's the callback when the future completes? When the future completes with a value, on value callback will be called with that value. If this feature is already completed, the callback will not be called immediately, but will be scheduled to later microtask. Okay. So great. Well, in fact, that would work then, right? Because our future of backend would actually be
yeah.
It's just kind of annoying that you have to register it like that, right?
There's probably something you could have done with auto dispose that would have made it easier. I also think that you probably don't have all of your dependencies properly linked to each other.
Yeah, well, there's actually this is not even about signal because backend isn't a signal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're sort of
it's just
mixing modalities then. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean like I suppose it could be. I don't know. I was actually just thinking about something that came up. A lot of people I think this came up in that the OREF thing earlier, right? Which is a lot of people use stateful and stateless widget and think that's the only widgets you can build your apps from. Like obviously you got your widgets that actually have output, but like I think that there might be room here to maybe explore a little code example of how you do custom widget, maybe like a disposable interface to show how you can make any widgets have a disposable interface magically inside your app, stuff like that. A simple example of that might go down a treat. It's
okay.
What do people think? What are people interested in? All right. Well, anyway,
we have a couple questions if you want to cover.
Yeah. Fire them through.
All right.
I think
somewhat unrelated. Can I stream data from C, C++ to Dart? Oh, that's MA said this. Can I stream data from C, C++ to Dart using FFI? Or am I limited to just calling native functions that return standard values or arrays?
Interesting. That is, you can. So first of all, yes, you can. The thing you actually, okay, how do I best explain this? So obviously the notion of so you said stream data, right? In any scenario, how do you stream data? That's just like calling a function effectively with a new value for it to use, right? That is literally what a stream is. Like you've got and when it gets produced, it calls a callback, it runs it. The whole notion of a stream is just a wrapper around that concept to give you a standard interface for multiple things to use. So if you want to use Dart streams, you can from C++, and you can actually stream values through that same interface I was just talking about, and then they'll pop up inside the Dart streams. So you can definitely do that. And so you're not limited to calling native functions. So there's a thing called the Dart API. And I'm just going to go load that up for you and show you, if I can find the source code, how you utilize it. Bear with me. Let's find the... Why does it not come up from Google search? How annoying. Let's do it from here. Bear with me. That's what I want. Yeah, this is it. And then there is the inbuilt Dart FFI, which should hook them up, if I remember rightly, which is... Oh, come on, Simon. It's documented somewhere. I just don't remember where it's documented. The one place. Well, I'll show you on screen here. Let's do this. So I'll pop the link to this in the chat. So this is the header file. So in your C code, you would refer to this file. You can just download this file. There's a dynamic API, and then you've got the Dart API. Both completely work. You can link against the dynamic one. But if I go down here, you'll see that this is where essentially all of the Dart C, so all of the host Dart code works like this. So here's an example here, right? So is long string, right? So you pass in some sort of Dart. Oh, sorry, we're in the way.
Yep. Move us out of the way.
These are not the droids you're looking for. We'll do this top one. Is a long string, right? So in this case, it takes a Dart handle, which is like a reference to any Dart object. And in this case, it queries the length, right? Now this would return back an error if it was not a string, for example, if you couldn't get the length. In which case, in this case, it's returning back result. Sorry, it is an error. It returns back for result, which would be an error, right? Otherwise, it's creating a boolean based on the length value is greater than 100, right? So it's a long string. So that's an example of that. And in this case, here's a function that you could actually do. So this would be an example of a C++ function that you could define, you could build, which when you say enter a Dart scope, you can allocate whatever resources you want. In this case, it gets the number of arguments passed in. Is that argument a long string? Is it an error? Then free, propagate the error back, and then you won't actually reach here, as it says here, abort. If it does, this will handle the correct error sequence inside of the Dart runtime. Otherwise, set the return value from this function free and exit the scope. This is an implementation of a Dart function in C++, right?
Wow.
And this is the standard API for you to do interactions. I've done a bunch of stuff in the long distant past. But this actually has a whole interface for basically every function in Dart, like in terms of every. Try to give an example. Every functional feature of the Dart language, basically, right? So, like new API, a new compilation error, new handle exception. It's a whole long thing. I'm not going to go through this, but you can like create isolates. Look, create isolate group. Like everything you can do in Dart. This allows you to do it through a C++ interface, right? And the examples are in the Dart, essentially in the Flutter engine and Flutter SDK, like how it uses these, right? Like there's quite a few of things around. I think there's yours was a stream, right? So if I look up stream in here, I'll read stream. This is more about streaming content. Well, you'd just be creating a stream object. So there's a create. I can't remember now. It's been a while. Construct allocate. There's a way of allocating creating an object. So think of it like JNI, right? Constructor. Hang on. Invoking constructors and creating new objects. This is what we want.
Yay.
Yeah, look, so you got Dart empty string, Dart null is like handle. So yeah, Dart new. There you go. So you give it a handle to the type, you give it a constructor name, number of arguments, the arguments. In Dart allocate if you want to allocate an object without invoking the constructor. Okay, with native fields. That's if you want to like map. So inside of Flutter, inside of Dart one, also Flutter, there's a thing called a native wrapper. Oh yeah, that's the class actually I wanted. This is the one I wanted, wasn't it? I think. Native. Native API. That's what I was looking for. Okay, I'll come back to that in a second. I just remember what it was. What was I saying? Yeah, so when you want to use like fields, there's a thing called wrapper. What's it called? Native wrapper? What's it called? Native field wrapper. Find that. Oh, goodness gracious me. It's been a while. This is gonna really bug me. Dart native field wrapper. Binding iOS native code. Native wrapper class. That's the one. Native wrapper. I thought it was that. And is this going to have example of native wrapper class? No, probably not. I wonder if it's in the Dart SDK docs. Hang on. Native. What did I say it was called? Oh, Christ. Native class wrapper? Class native wrapper? Native class. I've just lost the plot. I'll just do wrapper, wouldn't it? Well, they exist. In fact, I can show you. One. I can show you one because the framework has some. So if I let's just drop into here, I do something like render paragraph. I think is one. If I remember rightly. Well, render paragraph directly isn't, but it does use it. Give me 1 second. I know where it is. Somewhere around here. He's got hunting. This is we're going to go deep, people. We're going deep. This is deep into that layer of. Does it? I mean, I don't know how many people. What's the page on the Flutter docs? Flutter dev docs. isn't there like a? It's not getting started.
The layers one.
Yeah, there's a layers image. I think it's really good to open it up. I don't think.
No, it's not a code lab. It's a document somewhere.
They've moved it all around.
Yeah.
This is like app architecture. I don't want that. This should be like. Surely this should be like top of the list somewhere. Resources, Flutter concepts. There we go.
Yeah.
That's the chart I was looking for. So basically, there's this the green layer to the blue layer here, right? So this is the C++ engine. So Dart is compiled into the C++ engine, right? So this is one big blob, including the Dart runtime management, as you can see here, and Dart isolate setup, and as well as the Flutter specifics. And when you have the Dart side, well, Dart is running in its own environment, so there needs to be a connection between the two, and that's partly the job of the Dart API, not the only thing. So there's an interface. If we go to GitHub, Flutter community. Can go there if you like.
Small promotion.
And we look up. I just want to show people this because a lot of people don't know some things exist in the code base. So I think it's worth showing them off, which is Flutter. If I can find them, that is. It all got moved around. I still haven't got used to the new layout, so bear with me. I could actually just do T and look for it, couldn't I? Layers. Examples like that. There you go. Raw. We're going to go raw. So let's do Hello World raw. Yeah, let's do Hello World raw. So I'm going to just walk people through this briefly. So this is an entire app, and in fact, I can run it in a minute, that actually renders in the UI of a Flutter app, but without using any widgets and no render objects. Okay, this is literally about the connection between the rendering side of the engine and the Dart framework. Yeah, and the Dart code. So here, this is how it begins. You've got your implicit view. You grab that. So we got that for reference for the sizing of how big our display is. We then set up the on begin frame of the platform dispatcher to our begin frame function, and then we tell it to schedule a frame. This is literally the raw underpinning concept of how Flutter works. Here's the function that draws a frame, schedule a frame to be drawn. That's it, right? And then over here in our actual begin frame function, we work out our view size, our logical size, and our density. We create a paragraph builder, take some text. In this case, we're going to put hello world on the screen. We then build our paragraph, which creates us a UI paragraph. The UI prefix here denoting the Dart UI package, which is this is the interface that we're talking about right now, the graphical interface. And then in this case, it's going to create a picture recorder, which gives us which we can then create canvas from. We can then draw and do whatever we want on our canvas. This is how widgets work. This is how render objects work on a canvas. And the end of that is a picture. A picture, think of a picture as a display list of commands that have been sent over to the graphics card to be run, right? Then we create a scene builder, which is a series of all of the things that build up that whole display list. And in this case, it pushes a clip, adds our picture, and pops back off that clip rectangle. And then it then sends the resulting scene from the scene build function, the scene that goes over to the render function of the view. That is the output of doing a frame. That is the underlying concept there of a app, right? Drawing stuff. Wow. Obviously, you've got input, which is again more dispatchers and things like that. But that is the general principle. Now, the rest of this is raw. So this is showing you how you do all like spinning squares with the raw interface, right? So how do you animate? Yeah, exactly, right. This is why we.
That's why we have widgets, so we don't have to do this. This is the whole
point of having these layers, right? This is the whole point of having. Is this Anton? I think it is. Anyway,
Yeah,
I know. Anyway, but this idea of having those layers. So if we go into say rendering, then this will be now we can say hello world with render objects, and this is the hello world with render objects. That is it.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw the raw code before. This code does exactly the same thing as what you just saw. Hello, Anton. Nice to see you, mate.
Yep.
But now it's just in standard render objects. So you can see we create a binding. We set our root render object as a position box. We stick a render paragraph in there with our text and schedule a frame, and you're done. That's exactly the same code. That's exactly the same thing. So this is because we've got that layer of abstraction. That all of these classes here perform the logic that we just saw in a modular way, right? And then again, so each of these examples are the same examples as you saw before, like spinning cubes or spinning squares, sorry, but done in the other layer, right? The next layer up. And then once you've got your rendering layer, you've got the service layer. This is kind of more about like how you hook some stuff. I won't go into that. Ignore the macOS directories here and the lib directories. This is all sort of testing stuff. This needs to be cleaned up. I'm kind of peeved off. This is how they cleaned up the repo at some point, and it all got a bit messy in here. And I don't think anyone's actually touched it. Here you go. Raw rendering widget services. Yeah, widgets. And then obviously the widget system you've seen here's hello world in widgets. And you can see now that's even simpler than the render objects, right?
Yep.
So the idea is that you use this high level, and then the render objects, the diffing of the trees are done for you, so you get a nice optimal app and reactive app experience. You create render objects. Render objects, when they get executed, build a scene frame, and the scene frame gets sent to the graphics card to be rendered on the GPU, right? That's literally the premise of building apps and drawing things in Flutter. The nice thing is you've got this high level that you can build. All right, back to the FFI question, which was put in. I have no idea where it is anymore.
It's just to be started here. Got it. There it is.
Back to that. So yeah, so you can call the Dart APIs from your C++ code. You can bind to it, and there's this dynamic API, and you can initialize it actually from this Dart native API class, and this is how you can access those functions through the header. And basically, it's this initialized API deal that you have to hand back over to using an FFI function to your native code, and then in your native code you call this function with this parameter. And what you're doing there is that's essentially linking the two parts up, right, for your library to then use. And then what this eventually provides you, let's go back to the dynamic interface, is the output of this function when you call it is a pointer to a table, a function table. And there you go. And then from this kind of function table, I won't go, this is kind of like some macros that define it, but then you can access all of the various functions that you need to access to call whatever you want, right? And I think there's some like macros to make it easier to call them and so on and so forth. But that's effectively how that Dart API works. Obviously, you're not compiled in, so there's certain things you get and don't get. Yeah, anyway, where was I? Dart API. I had to dig out some code. It's been a long time. I have actually got some. Let me show you an example here. Hang on. This. Ooh, there we go. Let me see if I can find this. I'm going to dig out some. Let's see. Bear with me. This was like 2018, I think I did this. 2019. Oh, crack it! A long time ago.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Indeed.
Where
did I put it?
I was careful not to actually do the actual
story. You know what? I think I actually made this public somewhere.
when
but
you're
it's like
just
dead code, right? Like it won't compile now. It's so outdated, right? Let me see if I can find it. It was a while ago. I did so me and Norbert did a desktop implementation of Flutter before version 1. This is a long time ago. If it's not public, I'll make it public because it's just dead otherwise, right? Like, why not?
It was before you had embeddings
it is
for
public.
desktop.
It is public. So yeah, you guys can have at it. So I'll wow, 7 years ago.
Yes.
Let's share this. Do you want to share some? We can dig around some ancient code, can't we? We can dig around some ancient code.
It's Dagobah system, not Dagona. Dagobah.
It's Dagona here. Nah, you don't want to do this. So, let's briefly go through this. So the idea here was to have a desktop simulator. So this is basically before Flutter had. Well, I still think this is a really thing I want. This is something I want, and I haven't gone back to it. Which was I want to build. Well, actually, we do kind of have this, but the idea was I want to build Flutter apps, but using on my desktop, I having to run an Android or iOS app. Now you can run desktop apps, so it's the same thing, right? But back then we didn't have this, right? So we built this underlying Flutter simulator, right?
Wow.
And what Flutter simulator did, which I'll show you here, is bind the Flutter engine with GL for Windows together to build to allow you to build out code. So here's an example of using that Dart API. I will ping this in the chat for the person that was asking. But in this case, when our library initializes, as you can see here, when our FDLL dynamic library initializes, we set up our native resolver for functions. Then we go get some handles to the various code inside of like Dart Core, Dart Math, whatever it is. These handles give us libraries that we can then look up and build instantiate classes from in native code. We also then wrap each one of the functions. I'm going to show you them in here. This is going to take me back, so just bear with me here. So yeah, in fact, I'll do the GL for Windows one. Simulator window. Text plugin. Be this one. So like this. So this is how you used to do it. This code probably doesn't work the same anymore. But you used to declare native functions just with a native keyword like this. And then you used to be able to import them using an extension. A lot of people have never seen this. Dart-ext::. This is how you would have. This is how the Dart runtime would actually load a dynamic library for you, right? I believe this has been removed from Dart now. The FFI system basically replaces this, right? But in this case, here's each one of the Dart. Here's example. Let's go find one here. So in this case, create window. This is create like a window on your desktop machine. So width, height, title, monitor, share. I can't remember what share stands for now. Anyway, and here's the function that we want it to run. And then inside of our simulator, this is where we declare that function. And here it's here, native with the arguments. It's actually exported. If I go down, here's our export table. This is the resolver table. So this is the function that we tried to have in Dart code. That's this string here. And this is the function that we wanted to call in C++ code. And then that function in C++ code, if we jump to it now, we did a bit of tracing. But this then you can see here gets the various parameters, extracts the various things it needs to get to whatever it needs to do. And then call the GL for Windows create function. And if I ping it around a bit, sorry, everyone. Anyway, it's basically a wrapper for that, right? This is the same function, isn't it? So when was I? There's another create window function here, probably somewhere else. Anyway, so in short, this is kind of like how you might wrap one library through Dart, right? So you can just call Dart functions and have them execute some C code. Now the F5 library handles some of this for you now, so you don't need to do a bunch of this stuff. There are ways of still calling these functions. What else do one know here? That was it. The person was asking about linking the two things up, right? So when you create, in this case, when we create a window, so inside of, I want to show this in here actually. That's the wrong thing. I don't want to touch on that. It's this new. Here it is. I'll give it a second. Sorry. There we go. So when we actually call that native function, this is this one here, from the geo library, we get back a glf window, which is their kind of pointer to whatever their object is. Well, we want to wrap that up in our own type for Dart to use. And that's what this function does here, this new geo window function. It sets us the return value from our functions so that we can then use it. And if I skip to that function briefly, I won't bore people because this is probably not what you're here for. But you saw what we said earlier about Dart new. Here it is here. Dart new, calling out geo for window type. And this is looking up this window class inside of our desktop simulator library. And effectively, we create a new integer as a parameter to pass over to it. And this Dart 64-bit integer contains the pointer. And that's how we were storing the pointer. So if I go over to here you'll see, here's the window class that we're going to create. And here's that native pointer that we pass across. And that means that when any of these functions get called, like set user data, set position, we can then look up that native pointer value and then use that. Now, that was a concept that we brought up to deal with these, like the linkage between the two. And then we have monitor, video mode, blah, 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 whatever else we need to do. And then we had a bunch of desktop widgets that Norbert made. And these are like scroll bars, hovering, things that didn't exist back then, right? So, yeah, desktop scrolling, whatever it was at the time. So this allowed us to do like hovering over a scroll bar and having it change and having a menu bar across the top of your window. Again, these things now built into Flutter. We were doing this 7 years ago. There you go.
Wow.
Anyway, so these repos are, I'll pop them in the chat if people want to explore them. It is pretty much dead code now. I don't think you're going to get to compile or build. If you do, let me know. But the three repos work in unison, right? There's no documentation. Not gonna answer any questions.
Not supported. Not supported in any way, shape, or form.
Here's a little bit of a write-up. Why is this written in? Oh, yeah, that was another thing. Our desktop embed. This is kind of funny. The desktop simulator was written in Dart. So it was Flutter. It was your Flutter app running inside a desktop app running Flutter engine.
Wow.
It was in Flutterception, basically. Yeah, so this is the kind of cool thing. We actually had it doing. Oh, this is actually why I think this has got. This is it. Native wrappers. Native wrapper.
Yeah.
This was the API Dart. Is this in here anymore? I think it might have been wrapped up. Into. I think it's gone now. It got wrapped up into FFI when they changed it to FFI. But it's still. I'm pretty sure it exists with the engine. Yeah, native field wrapper class. I knew it was that. I don't think this exists anymore. I think it got changed. Let's have a look. Native fields. Nah, it's dead. That's not anything. I think that's a whole. It still exists to a degree. But I think the FFI stuff has kind of largely made it void in a way. Let me get rid of these. I'll just explain this briefly. So yeah. So again, this is pretty cool. This was Dart code that would run an instance of Flutter engine. You can create an instance of Flutter engine running any other Dart code. Shut it down, create a window, send over pointer events and platform messages. So yeah, this was revolutionary for its time back in my day. Anyway,
Back in the early days of Flutter. Yes.
Yeah, explore to heart's content. But anyway, the point is that's where this native field stuff comes from, and like making objects that bind Dart objects that bind to native code. It is there's all sorts of information online you can find. So yeah. Anyway,
we got a couple more questions.
That was complete sidetrack on what we're actually trying to do. I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
It really does bug me though. Like, I can't.
We have a couple. We got a couple more questions here. If you want to try
before we jump. Before we jump on to something else, hang on. Let me just try one thing. I just want to do gradient shader. There you go. It is still used. Native field wrapper class 1. It is.
Wow.
So any of the objects that exist inside a Flutter engine, the base objects that exist inside a Flutter engine that have to be represented in Dart will extend this native wrapper field class, and that allows this Dart instance to have native fields that are only visible to the native code. So that means the Dart code doesn't have a pointer in here to whatever its object is. It only exists inside of the underlying structure of the way Dart works. And you'll find out on all of these, all the ones in there you go. Look, see all the ones inside of the Dart UI package, because they all represent things inside of the native code. That's the whole point, right? Anyway, that was it. That was my tangent. Let's back to where we were. Go on.
Okay. So I've got a question here from Verde. And is there, I don't know what the and there is doing, because there was nothing ahead of this. Is there a way to create a snapshot of Flutter widget without launching a binded app, a headless app maybe? And there was a follow-up to that. Let's see.
You could, but I mean, there's no. So I have actually done this.
Colleague suggested, isn't that the new preview feature?
No, none of this is the new. Similar, but no.
Okay.
The this kind of comes back to Flutter engine. You have to if you want to do this, then you're doing it. You're saying you want to do this as in for like debugging or testing or something like that. Is that what you're trying? I'm trying to understand like the reasoning for this. So, in short, you can do this. Let's do Flutter. Yeah, sure.
I think Free is commenting on this. It was about the Flutter app without rendering, as in the Hello World example. Now it's still rendering though, but using
it's still rendered. It's not about that. Let me show you what it's about. So so inside we can give it a little exploration inside Flutter, shall we? People like this. Let's do a bit more. Well, I think you do. If you don't, let me know. So inside the engine, you will find shells. I'm just gonna show the screen here for a second, right? So what the shells are for each of the platforms that Flutter runs on, like Windows, Linux, GL for Windows, Fuchsia, whatever, there is a shell. This shell provides the interface for Flutter engine with that native environment. So in this case, Android. This is the Android code. I'll pop a link to this in here so people can explore if they want to. So for example, if we go to Android in here, you'll find that Java code. So all the Java code that you might have seen for the SDK when your app is running is in here. So this is the underlying Flutter application class. And then we've got embedding Android, and we have the Flutter activity. So this is all Flutter activities. They implement, there's an interface, I think it is called Delegate, Flutter Delegate or something like that, if I can find it. Flutter activity and fragment delegate, that's the one. Anyway, so this is the implementation of an activity that you can use in Flutter app. You don't have to use this. As long as you implement the host delegate, and then it will be compatible with Flutter. So this is like the bit of native code that you would need. We don't care about this, right? I'm just saying this is the bit of Java code that you would need to kind of link up an instance of the Flutter engine to Android, right? This kind of binding logic between the two. And as you can see here, here's your keyboard stuff, here's your rendering, here's your surface, whatever else that Flutter needs to use to actually get the two things to work together, right? Okay. And in here also there's your wrapper around the engine should be in here as well. So there's a Flutter engine, and this is the essentially the wrapper around loading the actual Flutter engine native library, and then having the Dart executor and linking up those callbacks, right? So the engine lifecycle on pre-engine, on engine will destroy. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. So this is how you get the kind of frame that frame callback happening. So inside of here, you get a Flutter view links to Flutter engine instance and creates a surface and blah blah blah. It all links up, right? There's a few different renderers. So the renderers are how you want it to render to the screen or whatever. So you have a render surface. This is how Flutter can render to a Android surface, right? This is a view surface as shown here. And in short, this is an interface here, but there'll be a few different ways of, and also to a texture, like your GPU texture, how you mock those together. Anyway, so back. There's a reason why I'm talking about this. So then, okay, so you've got your Darwin one for iOS and macOS. You've got your Linux, your Windows, and so on. You've also got Embedder. So Embedder is an implementation of the Flutter, is a generic implementation that lets you embed Flutter in any application you like. Let me be clear about it. Any application you like. Let's say you've got a C++ application and you've got a CLI app and you want to put Flutter in there so you can render Flutter graphics like you were just talking about being headless. This is how you do it. Okay. So this is the C++ code that you would like bind into. It's more it looks more complicated than it actually is because you don't actually need any of a lot of this stuff. What you only care about is the embedded engine header file. So there's actually, this is pre-compiled. There is a website which I'm gonna try and dig up here briefly. Hang on. If I can find the relevant material. I know this was, see, it was archived, and it's been a while since it was on the wiki, and the wiki's moved. Pages migrated to this place, docs, okay. Since they've merged the repos, I haven't gone looking for this, so I do apologize. Give me 1 second. It's probably going to be engine docs, maybe engine. Okay, hang on. This is really going to bug me if I can't find this. It's on the tip of my tongue. I know it's. I can see the markdown page in my head. I just don't remember the.
Wow.
Things they move. Oh, okay. There's a okay. Here a minute. Maybe I'll bring this up. I'll just explore for it here. Why not? Like people can explore with me. It's actually the same way the Flutter tool downloads the engine. All right, let's. I have an idea. 1 second.
Okay.
This is either a good idea or a bad idea. We're going to find out together.
That rings a bell.
What's that?
There's a little pling sound.
Oh yeah, it's me.
Okay. Pavlovian response.
Just bear with me, chaps. Here we go. This is what we're looking for. Okay, so I'm not going to make this bigger. I don't have a zoom thing on my thing here, but so in your Dart SDK directory, you'll have a bin directory, cache, artifacts, engine. And here are any of the platforms that you decide to download, any of the ones you can compile for. I'm going to choose Android in this case. No, I'm not going to choose Android. I'm going to choose... Yeah, I'm going to choose... I'm just going to choose Windows. So what we should find in here is there's your Flutter Windows DLL binary. This is actually the Flutter engine. You can actually create any application against that. And then the export things are in here. There is actually a way of downloading the Flutter engine instances rather than just using the ones that are in here and download the one that you need for your platform. You'll find Darwin in here if you're on Mac, and you can use the one that's attached to that. Anyway, that exports all of these features from the embedder. So if I bring up the embedder here, should be embedded.h. I forget which one it is. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so I'll pop a link to this in the chat if anyone wants to explore. But you can literally link against that dynamic library or the one from Darwin or whatever, and you just need to download this one header file. And this allows you to build instances of the Flutter engine in your own code and interact with it. And this is how we were doing it when we built the simulator, right? So inside here, you'll find there's a, and this is what you're talking about. So going back to the rendering, this is eventually answering your question, by the way. He says,
how to build a Flutter engine is documented in the Flutter wiki, I think.
Yeah, that's why I was just looking, trying to find it. It's not about building the engine. You don't have to build that. You're just downloading. There's a documentation. This is really gonna embedded support for Flutter. Hey, look. They've actually got documentation for this now. There was no documentation for this before. Here you go. Would you like to embed a Flutter engine into a car, refrigerator, thermostat? You can. For example, you may want to embed Flutter into the following situations, right? This doesn't just mean an embedded device. This is actually in terms of embedding it into an app or anything, right? And here is the page, the wiki page I was looking for. Yay, this is the page.
Yay.
So I will post a link to this documentation since this seems to link to everything. And I'll make this bigger here for a second. So as you can see here, what it's saying here is you can download the custom embedded interface here. You then download the header file, and then you can use architecture overview and other information. There's actually an example of you using it for GL for Windows, embedding Flutter into a terminal. There you go. As another example, there's two examples of doing this, which is pretty handy. So the custom embedded wiki page is the one I was looking for. Talks about what the URL is to download the embedded version of the framework. This gives you the header file, and it gives you the dynamic link file, depending, if it's Darwin, you'll get a dylib and a few other things, right? So you've got Linux or Windows. So whatever host platform, Mac, Linux, Windows, they're the URLs. And then the example, here's an example of it being used. So if I jump up here, so this is all the code. Not big, right? And here's our Dart code. So this is the app that we're actually going to run inside our Magic, inside our GL for Windows app, right? So this is the Dart code. And then here is the C++ code that binds the two things together. So this code starts up an instance of, we'll go down to the bottom. So here's our main function, our entry point for C code, right? So it starts up GL for Windows, creates a window, sets up its size on the screen, then calls run Flutter with the project path, ICU data path, and the window, right? And that's a function in here. And then this does the loop for handling the callback of events. So mouse buttons, keyboard, and interactions back over to Flutter. Basically, that's what these callback functions do. And if we pop up to those callback functions, you'll find in here. So this will be the run Flutter one. So run Flutter. This is how the basic instances of running Flutter. And this is me getting back to doing your recording thing that you're trying to do, right? So Flutter renderer config, in this case, is to OpenGL, right? So this expects the output to go to a hardware context, and this is how you link that up with GL for Windows, right? GLFW, right? GL for Windows. It's not Windows on a Windows machine. It can also work on Mac and Linux. GLFW is like a multi-platform library, just to make sure that people are clear about that. So if I go grab this is the Flutter embedded.h that you get on the download, and look for that renderer config, you'll see in here, it says, there it is. It's a union of multiple types, and this is how you can say, I want to render Flutter to OpenGL, software, Metal, or Vulkan. These are the different output platforms that Flutter supports. This is the one we care about, Flutter software rendering, right? If I go look at the software rendering, it has one callback, which is for when it wants to present a buffer of pixels in 32-bit RGBA. I wonder, is that how the pixels I want to capture as a bitmap to save to a file to capture a picture of my Flutter app? Yes, it is.
Probably.
Right? So what you're effectively doing is building a small little C++ app exactly the same way that this is doing it. And all you're doing is doing what this run function does, which is, but instead of using the OpenGL config, use the software run. And in the callback, you get your pixel data and you can store that in a file, write a PNG file, JPEG, use libjpeg, whatever you want. And that is how you kind of like capture data. And in this case, you give it the path where your output of your Flutter files are for your app, and then tell it to run the Flutter engine. And then this is going to start the main loop up, the main threads. And then this is all stuff about passing over those metrics to Flutter so it knows how big the window is. And in this case, when you press a button, this sends it over to Flutter to tell it that the phase is you pressing up or down on what button, where you're pressing it, that kind of stuff. So this is all just like, again, callback events here. When you get these events, send them over to the window. So yeah, this is basic example. And as we were just saying, that there's one here for terminal as well, which is interesting. I've never even looked at this one before. So let's have a look. Oh, it's a video. Let's have a look.
Video.
So cargo run, blah, blah, blah. Counter app, third-party counter app. Sure. Okay. Oh, wow. So he zoomed out. Let me just explain to people what this is doing. So the people didn't see that.
Oh, no. That's great.
He runs. Randall's got this. So let me make this full screen. So what's happening here is he makes each character of the terminal teeny tiny. Each character represents a pixel. So then when it renders the Flutter app, each one of these little things here is actually a text graphic. So he's basically painting Flutter. And look, there must be a zoom in feature. So you can browse in your terminal a Flutter app. I don't know why you'd want to do this, like a game, but apparently, sure, why not?
It's the same thing when they ported Doom to a terminal. You know, it's wrong, but it's right.
But I think this kind of also shows that you can see here. Also, I said C++. I'm obviously we can do with any native language, right? Python. You can even do Python. Python can interact with native code. You can do it with. In fact, there's already people out there doing this, right? If you go look up like Python Flutter and Rust Flutter, you'll find people that are already doing these kind of interactions with other languages. But yeah, anyway. Right, we got completely off topic. Have we got any questions in the queue?
Yes. 3 more.
Okay, that's right.
Let's just get rid of the one from. Oh, I did get rid of the one already. No, snapshot. Get rid of that one. This one came in. If we were going to continue with the scroll bar, but I think we're not going to do that. Sorry, what?
So I'm just looking at what time was. I'm completely having too much fun talking about.
Oh yeah. We're at 2 hours right now. So, this was when you were talking about live coding earlier. This is something from that. So I don't know if you.
Do we want to just quickly do a scroll bar thing?
It's not going to be quick. You think it's going to be quick? It's going to be. It's going to be a half hour
minimum. And we could quickly smash something out as an example.
3 minutes? No.
I'm thinking we could maybe say. I mean, look, are people interested in this? If they are, I need to sound off.
Yeah. And there's also this other question you could try to answer in the meanwhile. Can you walk us through Arthur Ross? Can you walk us through how to contribute to the Flutter library from A to Z and actually contributing to an issue? The Flutter library. Does that mean Flutter?
He means the Flutter. The thing, to be honest, we've actually done this before, and it on stream. I just don't know which show it was.
Maybe the.
I mean, the main thing here is it's about what you're trying to do, right? So what you're trying to contribute. But if you're just trying to I mean, I'm just going to give you some simple steps because it is that simple, right? I think in fact, it is actually documented on the Flutter.
Yes.
On the Flutter repository itself.
Contributing.
I don't think the contributing guide tells you the process. I don't think it actually tells you how. Let's have a quick look. Let's bring up the screen.
I think it does.
Here is the. I'm going to hide the question because otherwise it's too much on the screen, and we don't need that banner anymore. Right.
Yep.
So this is the Flutter repositories contributing.md, which is how you should contribute. Join Discord, be courteous and follow steps and set up and demo environment. Stick around. So in short, read the code of conduct values, quality assurance, developing for Flutter framework and engine, setting up your development environment, follow steps.
Oh, right
there. Your framework development environment, follow those steps.
Yeah.
Tree hygiene, style guideline, and I'm guessing there's a boring show episode about this. I don't know if that's what that's about.
Maybe it's an ad.
Outreach, helping with existing PRs, API documentation. You see this quite a lot, but in short, if you don't need the engine, right? So be clear, you don't need this if you're not changing anything inside the engine or contributing to the engine. You can just check out the Flutter repo. Hang a minute, you have already done that. So that you've completed step one of setting up your development environment, right? So in truthfulness, right? Like right now, let's say we're working on this code, right? Where it is, and I go, I try to think of it like a simple example I can make here. Value. Okay, so value. I've got a value like notifier or something in here somewhere. That's fine. We've got to have at least one in here somewhere. Value notifier. That'll do. Right, whatever that is. Right, so value notifier. Let's say this value notifier, as you can tell, if I hover over the file here, is coming from my checkout of the Flutter repository, and it's change notify.dart, right? So I can go to my Git tool, create a branch. Now I can modify this file. I say, I want there to be a bool is null getter or something, right? And this says is value equal to null. There you go. Right? I've added a new feature. Right?
Woohoo.
The contributing guide tells you need to document it, whether this value is null or not, whatever it is, right? And now I can commit that code to my fork. So for those that don't know, inside of if you want to PR something back to the repo, do a pull request, you need to first fork the repository. And you press this fork button into your own GitHub repository. You then check out that repository, add it as a remote to your local one. You create your branch, you commit your code, and then you create a pull request. Ta-da!
Yep.
I mean, it's in short that, but I think what you really want to do is go talk on the Discord. You could probably find an issue in here that that's limited in scope, maybe to widgets or something else that you feel. Oh, yeah, look, fixed. Oh, this is well. Here's an example of a PR someone's done, right? There's their branch. This is a fix for text field does not inherit local decorator theme, and he found the issue on the Flutter repo. So this would be the underlying issue. You can also ask. I think there's some first. I think there's a tag for there's a
first time
label.
contributor. First time
contributors, right? There is, isn't there?
Yep.
First. Good first issue.
Oh,
That's the one you
good
want
first
to
issue.
for.
Yes. Right.
Actually, let's go hunt them down. I don't want to start altering people's tickets by mistake.
One of my first issues actually became a good first issue, and somebody fixed it within a day.
Good first issues. All these good first issues are ones that you can pick up and run with really easily. That's the idea, at least. So let's talk about this top one. List tile, selected tile color, not visible when parent container has explicit background color. This tile it becomes invisible or non-functional when list tile is nested inside a container with an explicit property set. In fact, this is probably not a good first issue.
Seems a little bit convoluted. Like you have to know a lot.
This has actually got a PR already, by the looks of it. Someone's actually got a PR. It's probably fixes tile background wouldn't be hidden with parent containers. This PR replaces ink with material and with the original ink shape and ink color to material shape and material color. Okay, well, look, it's already been fixed, so yeah.
Look at the diff to see how much work it was to fix that.
Yeah, let's have a look. 11 changes. I think.
Whoa.
Okay, so we've got. Let's have a look. Here's the diff. Right, so we've got tests, obviously. So there's a few tests that have been updated for various reasons. Let's skip tests here. List tile. Here we are. List tile, including material and replacing the inkwell with a material on a list tile. Yep. Okay. No. So I see what the mistake was now. I was misreading what he was talking about, so that's fine. So now there's a surface for the inkwell to draw its splashes onto, which is the material. And that then gets the tile background. So that is the entire change. So if I go, that's the big change that makes the difference. Hide white space here. This you should just see what it's actually doing. That's it. You're wrapping the inkwell with a material widget. And then there's a bunch of test cases for that. So it is, sorry, I was misreading the original. These are all tests. These are updates to the test to validate that it's all painting correctly. So that is the fix. I disagree with this fix, kind of. Material adding material widget introduces a layer into the render tree. And the idea of having a material around like an entire list is to have one layer that all your paintings like this goes to. So there may be good and bad things for that. Someone said YouTube watches certain videos, so you could try maybe that's got like Matt and Taha about this. Perfect. Yeah, there you are. Brilliant. I didn't know there was a video done for this, so great. But in short, it's not too complicated to check out. And then you make your modifications. Because remember, when I make these modifications, like this is null I just did, I can just run my app and call this method, test it out, validate it. Then I can make test cases. I can open up the Flutter repository in my IDE, like the directory for that I checked out, and actually run the tests, right? And add new tests. So it's all just Dart code, right? So a bit of inception there, basically. Anyway,
you might also consider that you don't have to submit pull requests to contribute to the core. There's also the option of just reviewing issues and making comments on issues and voting on issues. That's very important as an independent contributor for you to give feedback to the people in charge that this is a good issue or this is a bad issue or whatever. And that is value. You are adding value to the project by doing that just with issues. Also, doc changes. If you see a bad doc string or something, file an issue about that, or at least see if there's any issues already on about it, because that helps. Again, anytime you can improve any part of it, it doesn't have to be digging deep into the code and fix the code. It could also be lots of other contributions. Open source is really about everything coming from the field out there. So you don't have to be a coder. You can do all sorts of stuff. So that was the only two questions I have. So that seems like we're wrapping up.
I think after they accounted for that by putting in the shape, if I remember right, but it's not really I let them deal with that, right? That's the issue ticket.
Yep.
Well, do we have anything else, or will we wrapped up now?
No, it's unless you want to start in the scroll bar, which is going to take you 30 minutes.
You know what? I'm wrapped for the day. I think that was we went deep on a few things, and
it was pretty intense.
I think people got some information out of this, which is good.
Yeah, and we're going to keep working with signals at different levels to keep incorporating into things. So it ought to be fun. And be sure to check the AI show on Monday on this channel. It's very location.
Yeah,
we'll be here on Monday.
The Flutter Community AI Circle will be coming back on Monday next week with some interesting stuff. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, get your notifications and all that jazz. I think that kind of wraps up. What we will do next week, I'm going to take that comment. What was the comment? It was
the scroll comment. It's I turned it off. Sorry. Shoot. No, okay. It's cube marked though, so it should be easy to find.
Right. If you can.
It's not snapshot. No, it's further up.
I'll go back through and see if we can find it, and then I'll make sure we do some code for that next week.
Yeah, just no, almost there. Nope. Nope. They're out of order in my head. Okay.
We can wait till it's still
we'll figure it out. It'll still be
awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and it was another great Humpday Q&A show. And
yes,
we'll speak soon. Good. See you next week. Bye.
Great. Bye.